and only 2 copies of that Lost Thunder Giratina. So if he does not get those Giratina out very quickly, then he's going to be left kind of high and dry, and that does leave him at the risk of potentially prizing one or even both Giratina and being left with nothing to work with. What he sacrifices in attacking potential, he makes up for in consistency. We see 4 Cynthia, 4 Acrobike, 4 Lily, 4 Mysterious Treasure, 4 Ultra Ball. If he's got it in the deck, he's going to be able to find it.
All right, even 2 Nest Ball on top of that too. So he has 10 different ways to get Pokemon onto the field, wants to flood his board with Inkay, and it looks like he's already doing that so far. Got 2 Inkay on the board, a Jirachi as well, so fantastic start here for Noah, and loves going first.
Yeah, he's definitely trimmed some of the fat of his deck to be able to just maximize Malamar potential. He wants 2 or 3 Malamar on turn 2 every single game, and decks like Steven's that do run that Zapdos do have the ability to, on turn 1, get a knockout onto an Inkay, but where there is 1, there is very likely 2 or 3 more. So you can only slow down the Malamar deck so much.
It's like Noah decides to discard that Ultra Necrozma GX there.
Yeah, not really the Pokemon he wants to be taking knockouts with. We saw him yesterday spreading some damage onto Jirachi with Distortion Door from Giratina, and then setting up for a GX attack from Ultra Necrozma to potentially take a couple prizes. But it's looking like, you know what, if he decides he needs to go that route, he could always rescue Stretcher it back.
Yeah, he can always go for the single prize attacker strategy and then try to sneak in that Ultra Necrozma later on. He might also have some information. Maybe Metal Energies are going to be hard for him to find this game, so going with the Psychic route could be just fine for him.
So 3 effective Inkay for Noah before he's going to let loose here and put Steven on just 4 cards to start the game. That looks like another Inkay even for Noah.
Gets to drop that Giratina down.
Steven does start the game with a Jirachi in play. That's pretty ideal.
Yeah, off of the let loose from his opponent. Obviously, you never want to see that let loose, but could have been a lot worse. Ended up with Ultra Ball and some Lightning Energy to discard. Unfortunately, he sees 2 Electro Power, which don't necessarily want to discard, but this is also a matchup where damage amplifying isn't necessarily the biggest deal.
Yeah, Malamar's only at 90 hit points.
Yeah, he's a little boy.
You're not going to have to stretch too hard to hit that number. But still, Steven's got to get his hand size up a little bit here. He's got lots of options off of this. He's not running a Tapu Lele GX, so he can't go searching for a Wonder Tag to find like first turn Lily.
Yep.
But he can just let loose himself.
All right. Yep, that's one way to go about this. He also has not used his Jirachi's ability yet, so could see more cards off this. He's just not going to be limited to the 4 cards from Let Loose. Hasn't played a supporter for the turn either, so definitely could run into some big cards for him. If he was able to find a Lily, I'm sure that would be the best thing for him.
Looks like he's got a second Marshadow in hand as well if he
is
so inclined to let loose again.
Perfect. He found Ultra Ball, gets to discard 2 cards and then pick out the Pokemon of choice, and then Lily for 8. On top of that, he has his Jirachi's ability, so we could definitely see an explosive start.
Never settle for less than the Lily for 8.
Exactly. Throw everything
That is the
away.
lesson that I've learned from you this weekend,
yes.
Kyle.
Go for it.
I mean, this is fantastic. He picks up a Pikachu and Zekrom, a Zeraora. He's got a Cynthia to use when he wants it. Whew. The only thing he's lacking is an escape board.
Yep.
He would love to be able to Stellar Wish and get that Jirachi out of the active.
So Steven has that sequencing locked in. Going to use the Nest Ball first, then wants to use his Stellar Wish afterwards, just thinning out the deck. One more card.
All right, let's see what he's going to get. Looks like he may have found a switch.
I think it's a
ball
and a
ball.
Yep. It's not the best for him.
Well, that Jirachi is going to stay in the active for the turn.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. If he's able to get that Inkay off of the board, I'm sure he'd like to just continually knock out Inkays and Malamars and leave his opponent with no way to accelerate energy.
Missing this attack is quite a big deal for Steven, but there's nothing he can do about it now.
Yep, there was a very risky alternative where he can Ultra Ball for a Dedenne and then try to keep moving. But yeah, it just don't do it, man.
Too many good cards. He's not unhappy with his hand. It's just missing that one little piece.
Right.
But, I mean, he's got a Guzma for next turn. He doesn't need the escape board. But this is going to be an opportunity for Noah to set up all of the Malamar that he possibly can. Start attacking immediately with Shadow Impact from Giratina.
Yep, he definitely would love to see some Malamar this turn. He's already got the Psychic Energy in the discard pile, so gonna have that available to him. Chooses to immediately play onto the Ditto. Doesn't want to worry about anything shady coming out like a Wobbuffet.
Just take away the flexibility. He knows what these Inkay are going to turn into, but that Ditto could potentially surprise him.
Right. All right, so definitely one of the more slower starts from Steven. He was able to get most of what he wanted, but just missing that switch effect last turn really hurt him. Found the Guzma this time around.
Go ahead and discard that Pikachu and Zekrom. Look for an energy off of Viridian Forest.
Yep. So
Steven's thinking this is probably not a game that he wants to commit Tag Team GX Pokemon to. He'd rather just trade one prizes.
It's a weird dance that both the players have. They know they both have very strong Pokemon that they can go with in the Ultra Necrozma GX and with the Pikachu and Zekrom tag team, but they respect it so much that they just don't play it on either side.
And that is going to be a knockout for Steven, taking his first prize of the game. One Inkay off the board. And Noah's going to discard that Giratina. Of course, he can bring it back with Distortion Door and spread 1 damage to 2 Pokemon on Steven's bench.
Yep. I don't know if there's any math necessarily that he's going to be trying to get with the Giratina, but you never really want to play it down if you can get extra damage from it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, here he is spreading 10 onto the Jirachi. That means if he can rescue Stretcher, Ultra Necrozma back, Sky Scorching Light GX would take a couple knockouts.
Yep, he could definitely be setting up for something like that in the coming turns. Be a nice surprise. We do see a Metal Energy in his hand. Also, one of those rescue stretchers is going to be played right now. I'm going to go ahead and use it and shuffle these Pokemon back into the deck. So would definitely love to have that opportunity, as you were talking about earlier, with that GX attack.
He's only playing 2 GX Pokemon, 1 Ultra Necrozma, 1 Tapu Lele. I don't think we're going to be Tapu curing this game.
I've done it a lot more than I've liked to in my time.
You do it, but you're not happy about
Sometimes
it.
it's just like strictly correct, and it feels so good to do it.
Get that damage out of here. All right, he picks up the Ultra Necrozma right away. But full board right now.
Yep.
We'll save that for later.
We'll see if he has any extra energies that he'd like to get onto the board. A lot of the time, when you already have your Malamar in play, you don't really do much else. So he seems content with the 3 energies on the active.
Mm-hmm. Shadow Impact, second knockout for Noah.
Oh, well, he only has 1 Psychic Energy in his discard pile from all that.
Yeah, I mean, Steven knocked out an Inkay on the previous turn that didn't actually have any energy attached.
Right.
So a lot of Malamar potential, but just not necessary right now. 1 Giratina's getting the job done.
Yep. So this is where we're really going to have an understanding of how Steven wants to approach the rest of the matchup. He can either continually try to handle the limited amount of attackers that Noah has, or he can work on the Malamars if he has the option to. Guzman's would be a fantastic way for him to target that down, but also needs the damage amplifying in the Electro Powers. I do see one in hand, so if he were to find Guzman, he has that option. If not, might just have to go straight into these Giratina. See, electromagnetic radar is an option for him. Yeah, gonna go with the energy switch.
Yeah, I mean, he could pick up Pikachu and Zekrom, Dedenne, Zero Aura off of the electromagnetic radar, but he's established pretty much that he doesn't want to go that route unless he absolutely has to.
Right.
So he's gonna hold off. He's staying consistent. And there is always maybe the change of game plan where he picks up Pikachu and Zekrom tag team, Dance of the Ancients to power it up real quick, full blitz, and then go for Tag Bolt GX, take 3 knockouts in 2 turns.
Right. Yeah, we're at the point where Steven will run out of Pokemon to attack with that aren't GX Pokemon soon. And no one ever has to worry about that. As soon as a Giratina falls, he can just pop it right back onto the board.
Yeah, Steven's playing 3 Zapdos. One's already been knocked out, one's on the bench, the other's in his hand. And that is going to be Dance of the Ancients. Well, yeah.
That works.
He caught himself. You have to put those Lightning Energy on 2 different Pokemon on your bench. But
So-
then he's going to go ahead and Energy Switch,
Yeah,
make it
he's
Zero
like,
Aura.
yeah, it's fine. So yeah, this is kind of what I was hinting towards. I feel like he has to make moves like this because his Zapdos are not going to be able to keep up with Giratinas. If he doesn't have the Guzmas available to knock out Malamars, he has to be the first to play a GX Pokemon, and it could really hurt him if Noah does have that Ultra Necrozma with Metal Energy. He could get very aggressive very fast.
3 Electro Power picked up.
Man, so maybe Zapdos could have got there.
Yeah, it could have. I bet Plasma Fist is going to do some good work here.
I could see that.
And, you know, Noah's going to have to commit a couple of attacks to be able to knock out the Zero Aura, or just go around it. Guzma up a Zapdos, bring that Giratina back. And there are enough energy in the discard pile now to make use of these Malamar. Psychic Recharge onto the Giratina that you bring back. And get it into the active somehow.
All right, so he does have the multiple Malamar in place, so 2 energies are going to be able to come down on that Giratina. That's those Expedition art switches. So cool.
Yeah, he's got some throwback stuff. Oh. He just scooped.
What? All right.
Sure.
I mean,
36 minutes left on the clock. I guess we're going to game 2.
I've done this before. This is when you feel like a matchup is comfortable for you, but it doesn't go your way. You can just start over again and be like, you know what?
You got me.
2 out of 3, I'll figure it out. But this first one was just not going the way I wanted it to.
We've not seen an early concession like that really at all this weekend.
Yeah. And I think this just goes to show both players have an understanding of how many points they have and how many points they need.
Yes. They're not going for draws here. Draws are a thing of yesterday. But today, these guys have to go for wins.
Yep.
So Steven got off to a bit of a slow start. Missing that Thunderous Assault with Zapdos on turn 2 was probably the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And even with Plasma Fists going furiously, it wasn't going to get him there.
Yeah, he saw the writing on the wall. He knew the damage was going to be on his Zera Aura, and then he was going to be lit up by either Ultra Necrozma or continual attacks from Giratina. So this is, you know what? If I'm going to win, I need to knock out a lot of Inkays, a lot of Malamars.
Malamar looking quite strong this weekend, actually. Noah's putting up very good results with it. It was, I believe, #1 when we checked in on round like 13.
Yep.
It was sitting at the top spot.
I think the only undefeated player right now is also playing Malamar. Yep.
Martin.
Yep.
But that's Malamar Ultra Necrozma, so a little bit heavier hitting than this Malamar deck,
Right.
Noah, but still, they have the same engine of Psychic Recharge off of Malamar to be able to power up your Pokemon. Kind of cool to see. Definitely an archetype that was underestimated.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a deck that we really haven't seen much of since last year, honestly. We've seen a few players bring it back, and here it is once again, looking for a top 8 spot.
And it's one of those decks that really isn't losing much going into the World Championships and the rotation that's going to be happening before.
Right.
You lose Tapu Lele GX, you lose Guzma, but maybe it just means the meta around it slows down, and then it's okay that Malamar slows down a little bit too. We'll have to see. Noah's going to be starting Giratina here, and again, it's just a race to the Inkay. Find as many as you can, get those Malamar up. A little bit awkward. You can't Psychic Recharge to the active. You have to Psychic Recharge to the bench. So this is going to take some finagling for Noah.
Yep. And this is exactly what Steven wants to have here. He's got that let loose Marshadow. It's going to shuffle both players back down and have 4 cards. And of course, Noah didn't find any Inkay on that opening hand of his, so he's just stuck there with a Giratina. If he doesn't find the right cards, we could see that quick game 2 that Steven's been looking for.
And it might seem a little bit strange to concede when the game was nowhere near over, but he is trying to get 2 full games into the next half an hour, understanding that he can win these games relatively quickly. He just needs to get a bit of a better start than he did in game number 1. So it's really smart of him. And he is actually going to go ahead and bench the Pikachu and Zekrom GX this game, whereas last game he avoided it completely.
Yeah, I feel like it's a strong play for him. If he's able to set up a ton of energies onto that Pikachu and Zekrom, he could possibly get off some relevant snipe damage and start to wipe out multiple Pokemon at the same time, which is kind of what he needs. He just needs to get a lot of knockouts very often.
Oh, he's got the Tapu Koko Prism Star as well. 1 energy already in the discard. This is looking like we're going to see a full Blitz turn 2.
Yeah, he is definitely rolling. Over on the other side, Noah's just watching as his opponent gets set up, and he only has 4 cards in his hand.
Full Blitz into Tag Bolt. You can take out an Inkay that's on the bench, maybe 2, because this Giratina is going to fall to the Full Blitz. That's even if Noah finds the Inkay. He's playing not that many basic Pokemon
He even
in
has
his
the
deck.
Ultra Ball. He can get the Lightnings into the discard pile and get
He can
multiple.
just dance this turn,
Oh, yeah.
which he'll absolutely want to prevent disruption from Noah.
So slightly awkward sequencing. If he wanted to have multiple Pikachu and Zekrom in play, he would rather get that energy onto that than a Zapdos. But looks like he's content with just the 1 Pikachu and Zekrom here.
All right, we're going to pass it over to Noah. He's going to start things off with a Nest Ball for an Inkay. Try and get set up as best he can, even though he was put down to 4 cards.
Yep. Does have some Acrobikes, so.
He is playing 4 Lily, 4 Cynthia, 4
Speaking of-
Acrobike.
There it is.
He's got plenty of draw support to
Doesn't
be able to
even-
get him out of this.
Doesn't even want the Lily. All right, so choosing to see 6 cards instead of 5 and hold on to what he had. I guess the cards that he had in his hand just does not want to see at all.
You do run the risk of seeing them again because you shuffle them into your deck before you draw.
Yep.
But a risk he thinks he has to take. And he finds another Inkay, but that's a rather underwhelming hand.
Yeah, the rest of his hand is very poor, actually.
Skateboards, but
Viridian Forest, Energy, Stretcher. Yeah,
that's
there's.
not doing anything for him.
You go nowhere with that. We'll see if Steven's able to capitalize here.
Yeah, double board when you're only running 1 Jirachi. I mean, you got to get those Inkay out of the active, but it's just bad timing.
Yep.
For Steven, however, whew, he loves that escape board.
It's something he's been missing. Definitely happy to see it here. All right, so we are going to see that full blitz from the Pikachu and Zekrom tag team. And he has a choice to make. He can either load up the active, or yeah, he's going to take 2 energies and pop them onto the active. And I don't think Noah has anything to beat this. Yep.
Yeah, he's gonna give it up. We're gonna go to game number 3. It's just a terrible opener for Noah after the let loose from Steven. But from Steven, that was exactly what he wanted to see. Turn number 1, get all of your setup. Restrict your opponent's access to resources because they have to race towards that Inkay and eventually those Malamar. And you just make it so that it's less likely that they can do that.
Yep. Anyone who was questioning Steven's decision 7 minutes ago, probably feeling pretty silly.
Steven's resolve is strong.
He
will take this.
He got 3 cards and his turn ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got there.
Oh, yeah. That was quite a game. Incredibly strong start from Steven. But going into game number 3, Noah will get to go first. And that means that he will have the opportunity to get those Inkay set up and make sure that he has access to his full 7 cards before Steven can go and potentially let loose.
Yep. So just taking a peek at the amount of points that both these players have, it looks like they're both sitting on 30 match points. So they're both going to need 2 wins from this point. So absolutely important that this game finishes. Obviously, plenty of time. 28 minutes should be more than enough for any matchup that involves Pikachu and Zekrom. You either go down swinging real early or you take your opponent out with it.
Yeah, looking like 11, 1, and 3 at 36 points.
Yeah,
will be enough.
36 would be plenty. They're at that.
Thinking 35 is the lock.
Yeah, they're at that weird spot where 33 and an ID is probably going to get you around 10th. So you don't want to take that risk. You're going to have to keep playing.
I mean, 10th out of a field of hundreds is a fantastic finish.
Yep.
But when your goal is top 8, 10th is far from satisfactory.
Yep.
So we are going to see a complete series. That makes me happy.
Way to go, guys.
You've done well. Hey, they know what they're playing to. They know what's good enough.
Yep.
Looking like Noah's got a couple of Inkay in the opener.
All right, multiple Lily, so that could be pretty bad.
Yeah, that could be quite rough. 2 Inkay and a Ditto Prism right off the bat.
Thunder Mountain as well, so.
There's one of the Marshadow.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into it. Inkay in the active, Inkay on the bench. Different looking Inkay on the bench.
Both players putting down as many basics as they can, because you know what this game comes down to. we all know about letting loose.
Steven going to be starting that Tapu Koko Prism, but that means that Zapdos gets to start on the bench and have the opportunity to move into the active right away for that boosted Thunderous Assault. And for Steven, going first is always better, but going second means that he does get the first attack, and that maybe is an opportunity for him to get rid of one of the Inkay.
Yep. If any deck is going to get an attack off on the first turn going second, it's Pikarum for sure. And not the best hand, but it's certainly workable.
A Guzma, a Malamar. Not the best draw off of Cynthia, but again, there's so many supporters in Noah's deck that very likely he'll find one going forward. However, back to the 2 Lily that he did prize, it's going to be a little bit less likely.
Yep. His opponent's also pretty likely to use a let loose. That's just a constant strategy that these players do. So
Steven's
we'll
got
see
a very
if
nice
Steven has
start.
the read.
Lily for 5, couple of energy, got a Jirachi.
And now we see if he was so happy with what happened in game 2 that he continues to use these GX Pokemon. So we do see that Dedenne GX into the hand. And yeah, it looks like he's going to go ahead and use that here.
Dede change, discard your hand, draw 6.
Discard your hand, draw a lot of Jirachi.
Yeah. Couple too many. Does have the Faulkner for next turn, but not great.
Oh, top deck the Lily, even though he's got 2 prized.
What a master of the game.
Way to go.
Psychic recharge.
Yeah.
Make the switch.
Would love to
and
see a
there's the
psychic
Lily.
energy here.
Can he get the Shadow Impact off and stop Dance of the Ancients from ever happening?
Ugh.
Doesn't look like it.
I think I see an acrobike still, though.
Okay, 2 more chances. Ultra Balls. That doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Does he have another psychic energy in the discard? Maybe he can do some double switch stuff? No, I don't think it's there.
Just going to have to pass back. And that means the Dance of the Ancients could be used this turn. If Steven, I mean, he can Faulkner for Ultra Ball, put energy into the discard, but then he still can't knock out the Giratina.
Right.
He would be able to move Zapdos up, but without Electro Powers, it's just not enough. Yeah, he's going to take Escape Rope. He wants that Giratina out. Of course, there is another Giratina on Noah's bench.
Yep.
So Steven's not going to be able to get a knockout this turn.
He'd also really like his Tapu Koko on the bench so that he could use Dance of the Ancients.
Yeah.
Not much from this Jirachi here. All those damage amplifying cards and a Lily, and he can't get his hand very low because he's sitting on all these Jirachi. So yeah, it looks like he's just gonna take Electro Power.
This is a much slower game for both players. I mean, at least it's not ideal for either of them.
Right.
All right, so that is going to be Dance of the Ancients. Go ahead and pop an energy onto Dene.
Oh yeah, Dedenne gets some love.
3 Zapdos ready to go.
Yeah, just has to pass the turn.
Jirachi stays asleep. And does Noah find an energy and a way to move these Giratina around? Let's start with Ultra Ball.
Yep. Does look like he has multiple Cynthia, so should be able to get into the deck.
He's got several switches.
That's one way to do it. just moves the psychic energies up. They're the same guy. It's fine.
I could choose to move 2 cards, or I could move 4 cards. It's just saving time.
Yeah. Hand strength.
Very dexterous.
Yeah.
And look at that shuffling.
So any energy or Viridian Forest should be able to help him out here. Just would like to get some damage going. Finally
Does find the
that.
energy. He's only playing 7 psychic energy.
It's a little low, but you keep recycling the same energies, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, usually it's enough, but in situations like this where you're desperately looking for a single energy, you can whiff.
Right.
And now we're going to take the first prize of the game back over to Steven. Still stuck with that Jirachi in the active, and he's going to have to Guzma. It is asleep, so he can't Stellar Wish.
So we just see Guzma plus Electro Power. This means that Steven could target down Malamars if he so chooses. Still, like, yeah, I guess. So it wants to hold on to the Electro Power. Just going to knock out the Inkay.
Sure. Might need to save up Electro Powers to be able to knock out the Giratina.
Yep, Inkay and Malamar are very similar when the energies are already on the board. So not too big a deal there.
Steven's struggling a little bit.
He's just been in that same spot over and over again. He keeps finding Lily, and he has no way to get these cards out of his hand, so he just says, I don't want Lily.
Usually too many Jirachi is not a problem. This game, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's not good. Oh, here we go, the
A little electro
powers.
power. And let loose.
Cool.
Looking for an escape board. If he gets it, he's hitting 140 with a Thunderous Assault.
Oh, no.
That's not it.
Accidentally shows his whole hand, too.
And he can't, I mean, he can't retreat the Jirachi.
Right.
Because it's asleep. If it was awake, he could play the Zera Aura, attach an energy, and retreat.
Does he have to go for a second Marshadow? Yeah, just try again.
Round 2. Let's do better.
Hey, is that that last card? I can't see. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Sigh of relief from Steven, I'm sure.
That would have been very bad. And finally gets to play a Lily.
Draw 5 cards. Things are starting to look up. He's got a Guzma for next turn.
Got a souped up to Dene.
All right.
That's what the people want.
Souped up to Dene's.
Oh, yeah.
We want to see Dene's GX attack.
Yeah.
All right. That was a Thunderous Assault with double Electro Power. That's going to knock out the Giratina. And Steven's going to take his second prize. That turn could have been so much worse.
Right? Yeah,
He
this
could have just thrown double Electro Power to do nothing.
get him Jirachi.
Sleep him to death. Sleep your way to victory.
So it really prioritizes those Inkay, even though he has 3 Malamar in play.
But what if he ends up with 1 Malamar in play?
See? Got to be thinking ahead.
Looking for at least 2 always. 3 is the sweet spot. It's where you
Right.
can recycle the energy onto Giratina and you don't have to play any from hand, which is the position he's in right now.
So, Acrobike. Discards an Acrobike, as always. Giratina gonna drop some damage into play. Souped up immediately because of all those Malamars. Doesn't need an Inkay, even though he just shuffled them all into his deck.
Fodder. Attach Metal, Retreat Mew, and Shadow Impact for knockout on the Zapdos.
All right, slowly but surely, it looks like Noah's starting to take a lead here.
He spread the 40 damage onto the benched Giratina, which means that Thunderous Assault plus 1 Electro Power gets that knockout now.
Right.
But as long as there is a Giratina with energy on it, he will continue to attack every turn.
Yep. Doesn't want to make knocking out Malamars any easier. The first 40 damage that went to an Inkay, he was kind of baiting, hoping that Steven was going to continue to attack these Inkays. He assumes, oh, if you're going to knock me out with a Zapdos, it doesn't matter if I have 60 HP or 20 HP left, so you can just take this one. But it hurts him a little bit that that Malamar is a target.
Steven's got a couple Guzma now.
It's just so difficult to start to map out a turn like this when you see that you're already behind. Pikachu and Zekrom is one way for him to come back. It can take multiple prizes in a turn, but it's so difficult when all your energy acceleration
It's gone.
has already been used.
It's going to take him 2 more turns to put energy on this Pikachu and Zekrom unless he finds another energy switch.
Yep.
Which he's used 1 already, I believe.
Feels a little more a little better about dropping that Pikachu and Zekrom, seeing that a Metal's already hit the discard pile. Ultra Necrozma
Yeah.
could be less of a threat now.
Oh, he's going to put up Dedenne.
All right. So
I don't think it's tingly return time.
Static Shocks are pretty good. And that'll work out.
Electro Power, Thunder Mountain still in the prizes. If Steven could have found Thunder Mountain, he could have potentially full blitz next turn. Players generally take their prizes in a certain order.
Right.
It just so happens that Thunder Mountain is one of the last ones to be taken.
Noah's eyeing up his Ultra Necrozma GX.
I mean, there are a couple Marshadow on the bench, 60 hits points remaining on that Jirachi. And we did see that Metal Energy as he shuffled it into his deck.
Yep. Well, that's one benefit of having triple energy acceleration from your discard pile is retreating for 3 doesn't hurt as much. Does find that Viridian Forest too.
And he's going to be able to get the metal from that. Bench is full right now.
Yep.
But he does have Sky Scorching Light GX available to him in the future.
So wisely going to use a Guzma. Don't want to place that damage on a Dedenne that could just return itself into your hand. So take the knockout here on the Zapdos.
Attaching to the Jirachi on the bench.
He's got to be ready to retreat. He knows his energy attachment is going to have to be saved for that Ultra Necrozma in the future.
He's prepared. And Steven's still going to be an energy off of using Full Blitz this turn. His Zapdoses are gone. His Dedenne is mighty, but very small.
Fans out his deck, just trying to see where the answer is.
Not much left to work with. Hardly even any energy left. That's a good thing that first 2 games were as fast as they were, because this one's taking a little bit longer.
Right.
Stellar Wish.
His whole deck is basically item cards at this point, so
Yeah.
should be able to find something that he likes here.
He likes that switch.
I like Switch.
Switch is cool. He's only got 1 energy in hand. I didn't spot any additional in deck. Okay, there's 1 and 2. So they are there, but he needs to find them for next turn if he wants to full blitz. And even then, he's not going to have the energy to be able to tag bolt.
Right. Steven does have the option to use Energy Switch and get a full blitz off this turn if he chooses. I think he knows Ultra Necrozma's waiting for him on the other side, though.
Well, I mean, there's nothing he can do about that. Marshadow at 60 hit points left. Jirachi at 60 hit points left. Sky Scorching Light GX will take 2 prizes. But Steven can't win this game if he doesn't take a knockout here.
Right.
Oh, he is just going to pass it back over. Interesting. So not enough space right now for Noah to put Ultra Necrozma GX on the bench.
Noah has already used multiple copies of Guzma. A lot of energies are in play or in the discard pile, so retreating gets a little more difficult here.
3 Psychic and a Metal, it looks like, in deck.
Yep, I think I'm seeing that with you there. Does have copies of Switch available too. Just would need to find those off the draw.
Trying to figure out where to put the escape board.
Yeah. It doesn't make much sense on the Jirachi that already has a psychic energy, but
Yeah.
if you wanted to use your ability there, you could get out of the tougher spot. Does find Guzma for a following turn.
And another escape board.
Yeah,
He's going to pass back over, too.
All right, how many turns does Steven need?
There are 2 energy still in the deck. If he full blitzes, gets a knockout, and does take Thunder Mountain, and he knows Thunder Mountain's in his prizes.
Right.
So he might be thinking the only way that I win this game is by full blitzing, attaching 2 energy, hitting Thunder Mountain, and tag bolting for the win.
So maybe he can find a souped up tag bolt and knock out multiple Malamars, and then he doesn't have to worry about Ultra Necrozma coming in and wiping out his Pikachu and Zekrom. Does have Viridian Forest available now.
Yeah.
He could go and find some of these lightning energies. It's a lot harder to do when you have your Thunder Mountain prized.
I mean, he's still... This is tough.
So I think he needs to pass for 1 more turn. He can get this energy into play, and then if he can get energy attachment plus energy switch and the Guzma, he can get that double knockout, and then I think he sets up checkmate.
Guzma up the Malamar. He's going to full blitz.
So removing a Malamar does also hurt the Ultra Necrozma.
Yeah, he still hasn't attached this turn.
Just has 6 cards left.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know what to do with them. So, all right, let's just
All right, it needs to
full
be
blitz.
energy switch, or he needed to have taken the Thunder Mountain, but he did not. As we established, players tend to take their prizes in specified order, bottom to top, and Thunder Mountain just happened to be one of the last prizes that he would take this game.
Yep, so Noah's trying to show that he does have that Ultra Necrozma GX knockout.
Those are the final 2 prizes off of Sky Scorching Light GX,
Oh,
set
man.
up with the Distortion Door damage early on. Really unfortunate